Hello, this is the Fix Virus Show. Let's do a quick video before more fun with the family and stuff. Okay, so how can we use AI to reduce errors? So I guess what I'm really trying to say is I want to use AI with a reduction of errors. I want to use prompt engineering. So you'll let's hear me out for a second here. How can we use AI to reduce errors? How can we reduce hallucinations? Maybe that's better. Anyway, okay, so what you have to do with AI is you have to put it in its box. I know I discussed this before, but to do that is you have to have a role. You have to create your role and you have to tell it, hey, I'm a cybersecurity auditor for me, for example, or a historian, or you're trying to create tasks, and then you're also trying to give it instructions, specific instructions. So we'll go over all of these items here. So, okay, for example, I asked Grok, which is an AI, an LLM, large language model, can I reduce hallucinations by stating my role, stating tasks with detail, give instructions, and as much data as possible within time allowed. So basically, I gave it some of the answer already, and I wanted it to define the answer a little bit more, and this is what it came up with. Yes, providing a clear role. In other words, you are a helpful AI assistant specializing in historical analysis. That's a role. Detailed task descriptions, specific instructions, and as much relevant data as possible within the prompt can significantly reduce hallucinations in AI responses. This approach, often called prompt engineering, helps by constraining the model's output to factual or logically grounded information, minimizing the need for it to fill in gaps creatively. And why does it work? Role definition. Assigning a specific persona focuses the AI on a particular expertise or style, reducing off topic or invented details. So remember, I know I discussed this before, AI has been developed, many years ago, 10 years ago, plus more or longer, depending on the engine and depending on what was done and how it was done. So what they have done is try to create a human-like response. So in that human-like response, they added all these creativity possibilities. So unfortunately, as it's creating creativity, it's creating hallucinations or errors. We call them errors. I call them errors. It's a fancy term, hallucination. So what we really need to do is give a role definition to give it basically a base. Do not go into your creativity and try to figure out which persona you need to be. That's what it's saying. Then you of course need to give a detailed task. Break down the objective. For example, summarize the key events of World War II, focusing only on 1939 to 1945, and cite sources from provided text. So that's important too because citing sources. So provided text, which means the text that I give it or the text that it tries to find, it has to provide the sources for that. And it prevents broad interpretation that lead to errors. Instructions, explicit rules like stick to verified facts, avoid speculation, and flag uncertainties act as guardrails. So if you tell it to stick to verified facts and even avoid speculation, it's now not going to go into its a little section where it needs to do a little bit of creativity. Because when it does creativity, it's often inaccurate. So data provision, including text or context or references up front, excerpts, data sets, or links, gives the AI real information to draw from, rather than relying on its training data, which can be outdated or incomplete. Or in some cases, you want the AI to do RAG, retrieval augmented generation, which is you want it to go out into the internet and look for stuff. Well, in that case, giving it examples is a great way to tell it how you want it to be done. And interestingly enough, there's also like a time length. There's token limits. In models like me, it says, Grok. So Grok's saying typically thousands of tokens. Grok has thousands of tokens. So prioritize the most critical data. If the query is time sensitive, summarize or chunk information. So it's not foolproof. Even with strong prompts, hallucinations can occur due to model architecture or ambiguous queries. Iterating on responses helps further. So that means when it gives an answer, you're like asking another question. Oh, and can you refine that a little bit more, etc., etc. And the more you do this, the better you'll get. So I would start playing with the iteration and giving it more information and stuff. I've been doing this, and I've gotten better and better at not getting hallucinations from it, especially when I'm asking data and information that I need, like for PCI compliance and those kinds of things. Like for example, if I tell it only look at the PCI compliance document for X, Y, and Z, it's not going to look elsewhere. It's not going to do hallucinations. I guess hopefully it won't. I mean, if it does, then I'll double check it, and you still have to double check it. So it goes with this one example, which is kind of interesting. Few shot examples, also called few shot prompting, are a prompt engineering technique where you provide a small number, 2 to 5, of complete input output examples in your prompt before asking the AI to perform this task. This teaches the model the desired pattern, style, format, or reasoning process by demonstration, rather than by explicit instruction alone. The terms come from few-shot learning, where the model learns from just a few examples, as opposed to zero-shot, no examples, one-shot, only one example. Few shots is a handful of examples. So it's especially powerful for getting consistent formatting, guiding complex reasoning, reducing hallucinations by showing exactly what kind of responses is expected, teaching a specific tone, style, or domain knowledge. How few-shot prompting works: you structure the prompt like this. Optional role or general instruction, several clear examples, actual query input, which you want the response, and then the model then continues the pattern. So, okay, here we go for an example. Simple example. Classify the sentiment of the following movie reviews as positive or negative. Review 1. I love the acting and the plot twists. That sentiment is positive. Review 2. The pacing was slow and the ending disappointing. Sentiment negative. Special effects were stunning. The best movie this year. Sentiment positive. Waste of time. Predictable and boring. Sentiment negative. So then we give it a review. The cinematography was beautiful and the story moving. And now we ask for it to respond. And we want that, of course, to be positive because that sounds positive. The model learns the pattern and applies it to the final review. So this is the whole point. And then we would agree with it, or we would say, no, that you are wrong. It's not negative, it is positive. So that's how that works. And this is just one example, one AI help to help you ask and interact with the different AI engines. Because it's important for us to learn how to use AI. Because as we go on, AI will become more and more prevalent in our lives. This is a post from before. AI errors or hallucinations. And interestingly enough, there was OpenAI technical report evaluating its latest LLMs showed that its O3 and O4 mini models, which were released in April, had a significantly higher hallucination rates than the company's previous O1 model. It came out in late 24. For example, when summarizing publicly available facts about people, O3 hallucinated 33% of the time, while O4 mini did so at 48% of the time. In comparison, O1 had a hallucination rate of 16%. So what does this mean? This means they're literally creating higher creativity in the newer LLMs. I call them the newer engines or whatever. I mean, the AI instances, whatever you want to call it. So this is very interesting. So this is why it's important to do prompt engineering. So I just wanted to point that out. Let's go back to our regularly scheduled programming with Christmas Eve and all that. Thank you. So I just wanted to give you a little quick one shot. Anyway, click like and let me know if you like this kind of a topic. I will continue making these. Thank you.